another person will love this. I think it's a very beautiful
Nice.
sort of summary of looking at how value is.
And a very nice thing someone wrote here, that it creates a future we want to experience. Beautiful.
Awesome.
That's really nice. Great. So I think we pretty much have insights into what we all think value as a term means to us, and also we certainly agree that it's extremely relevant in our life. Uh, right now, and also probably for years to come, values may change with time. In different contexts, you may find yourselves prescribing to different values, but as long as we know what we value, it should be enough to guide us in our lives. So let's quickly summarize what we mean by values. You're all right. When we say values, values are primarily what motivates us, what guides our behavior, what enables us to decide between a right and a wrong thing to do. It also, like a lot of you have said, are our own personal characteristics. For example, confidence, honesty, integrity. So it is what I think of myself. It is my characteristic. It is my personality. It is what we hold dear: a sense of self-respect, compassion, love, humanity. So it is what we hold dear. And certainly, it has an ethical element to it to help us decide what is right from wrong. And values could also, very simply speaking, be our own beliefs. The beliefs that we have accumulated from experiences that we've had in life. It could be beliefs from our parents as a part of our upbringing. It could be beliefs that we have learned from our friends in schools and colleges. It could be something that we've seen in the society, or like someone said, right now in the present context of this COVID-19 pandemic, there could be new values that may emerge. Like, for example, compassion could have found a different meaning in the current situation, because we all need it more and more to make this world a better place right now, right? So values is all these things that you have said, and that's exactly what we are going to focus on in today's session. We are going to spend a good amount of quality time exploring what values we hold dear, what is the structure of values, and how we can demonstrate these values to make our lives what it can be and what it is meant to be.
Beautiful.
All right.
Yeah, just adding a few things that are picked up here, which is, it makes us unique. The decisions that we make is quite easy to make once we know our values. I think picking up on those two things, right? I'm just adding that to your element of. So, one of the things we really wanted to offer in this space is, can we become clear about our values? And that's as I want to connect what they were saying to what we were saying. And it's a guiding principles. It helps us create the future we want to create. So it's good for us to deep dive and understand what is it that is our values. And I remember, I think I was sharing this in the morning, that the first time I ever did this exercise was actually when I was 18, 19. We were doing one of the N number of workshops that we all attend together. And in that workshop, we understood that even writing down, okay, these are things that I value. These things inspire me. Okay, this is why, this is very important to me. And then writing them down for ourselves, holding them, not tightly, but holding them dear. And understanding that, okay, this is what makes me, value certain things. I think that's the first beautiful exercise. And it transformed, really, at least for me, it transformed the way I look at myself. It transforms some of the decisions. I loved what one of you said. It just makes our decision making much more easier. Because once we know them, then we can, direct our decisions according to that. So knowing the values.
And that's exactly what we're going to ask you to do. Just like Uma benefited from writing down her values, I'm sure each one of you can also benefit from doing the same. So what we're going to request you to do is take your notepads and pens and write down what are the core values that you personally prescribe to. There is no right and wrong value. It is what you, as an individual, as an entity in your own being, regardless of what others think about it, identify as your core values. So anything that drives your behavior, anything that guides your behavior, anything that inspires you, anything that you value, anything that you personally think is your core guiding principles or values. Jot them down, write them down on a piece of paper. Once you have done that, then what we want you to do is circle top 3 or the most important 3 values from that list that you create and populate. A way to pick those top three is very simple. Anything that you think is non negotiable for you, anything that you will not compromise on. For example, if you think self respect is something that you will never compromise on, then circle that. So pick any, there may be more than three, but for the purpose of this exercise, we would like you to look at 2 or 3 such core values that are absolutely your strength, that are consistent in every aspect of your life. Take about 3-4 minutes to do this. Once you're done writing, raise your hand so we will know when we are ready to go to the third step.
And remember, this is for inside in your own books, not in the chat.
Yes. So this is an individual exercise. Yeah. This is an individual exercise, and you may want to keep a record of this, so do not use the chat screen and please write it in your notebooks.
We'll come to writing later. Writing on the chat later. So as hands go up, we're assuming that you finished the activity. That's what the hands mean. A couple of hands raised, so thank you.
Yeah, quite a few.
So again, numbers don't matter, so write it down. This comes through inspirations. It is not about, do I have this much or do I have so much. If it's inspiring to you, if it's part of you, if it's something you value, you can make that entire list. And then as Abba said, just, circle your top three.
Maybe Uma, since a lot of them have already finished writing, we can also, for those of you who finished, go to the next step, which is click on this link. I'm also going to copy paste that link on the chat window to make it easy for you to go to the link. Kindly stay on mute, please. Okay, I've left the link on the chat window. Please click on that link and it will take you to a page. Uma, do you want to demonstrate it for them to know how the page will look?
Absolutely.
So when you click on that link, this is the kind of page that you will see. And you can enter the 2 values that you have chosen from your list of values here and click on submit. I hope it's clear. So once you have listed down your values and identified your top 3 values, there is this link that I have left on the chat screen. Please click on that link and it will take you to a page that Uma just showed. All you need to do is enter 2 of those 3 values on that page and click submit.
And for those in live streaming, you may not be able to get this link, so maybe you can just put it in the live streaming chat if it is allowed. Just so you put your voice there. So thank you. So I'll pass the ball to you, Abba.
Yeah, I'm going to just share my screen.
Thank you. Can I repeat once more? So once you have written down the list and circle your top 2 or 3 values of yours, use the link that is there in the chat box. Click that link. There will be a small box that says enter the 2 words. So put those 2 top values in that link. Because there's a beautiful technology that Abba is showing us. Basically what happens is when you put those 2 words in the link and click submit, it comes to us here populated, so we can really see how the 600 of you all are answering this part, and it will tell us how many values are there in this group. So thank you. Yes, Shanmukhya, Kulzar, Jamima. So as you can see there, I think is there a way to make it slightly bigger?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do that.
If I can request Zahra to go on mute, please. It's either yeah. Can you please go on mute? Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. The silence allows us to think and hear each other.
As you can see, we already have a lot of values on the screen.
Can I get you to mute, please? Saeed Himania, please mute. There's a button that says mute me, so please click on that button and mute it.
helping tendency, honesty, self respect,
Picking up a
kindness.
well, the big words mean what, right? So,
Yeah, so the words that you see in larger font are basically values that quite a few of you would have written similar values. So anything which has a repetition will keep increasing in its font size. So it's nice to see that so many of us share our values also with each other: independence, self confidence, open mindedness, courage, nice, creativity,
you don't need to tell us it's
thoughtfulness.
done. The link is put again. Some of you asked for the link, so you don't need to tell us it's done. We can see it in the screen here. So the link will be active for you. Yeah. Sorry.
So as you keep submitting, you will see the values coming up here. Sincerity, being unique, perfection, sharing, trust.
So as you can see today with trust, right? Max started it today with trust. Yeah.
As you can see, there are so many values between 600 plus people. One, there are different values that we all subscribe to. But two, at the same time, there are common values that we all hold dear to. And that's the beauty of values. Wherever, whenever, whichever aspect of life you find yourself in, you will always find people who subscribe to and who complement your values. And even if you find people who probably contradict a value that you hold, that doesn't mean that while it is difficult to work on relationships where there is a value conflict, it does not mean that you cannot make that relationship work. So it's because self accepting each other in itself is a value, right? So Uma and I, like Uma said, we've been friends for 22 years now, but that doesn't mean that Uma and I are like each other and we are clones of each other. There are qualities that Uma and I share, and there are qualities that Uma and there are qualities that we share, and at the same time there are probably qualities where we are poles apart. So if Uma is north, I'm south. If I'm north, Uma is south. But at the same time, we have managed to make this friendship work, and we managed to remain good friends for more than 22 years now, is because we respect the differences that we have, and we complement sometimes the differences that we have. So understanding values is also becoming aware of values is not just about becoming aware of our own values and becoming dogmatic about it, but becoming aware of values also means becoming aware of the values that others around us also hold dear. And respecting those different values also is a value that we need to have. Because when you start, today you're doing classes online, when you come back to the campus, God willing, when things are right, you will probably find people who are like you, and then you will also find people who are not like you. And it becomes extremely important to respect everything in that space, everything in that sphere. And that's exactly what we are going to discuss next. So Uma, I think we can go back to...
I'm going to just before you move away here, okay, just one of the things that I want to show about that picture is what you often find is a way that we react to values. So if you look at the picture, there'll be some words that are read out, and then when we read out those words, immediately we'll be like, I like this value, it's so nice, and our heart will jump and be joyful. And there'll be some values for which we have no relationship, for example. I think this is also something that you can be aware. And one of the early lessons I learned also was sometime, I don't know if you all felt all this, the 600 people that you're there. I get very irritated, or maybe, say, why can't this person be like this? I often find it is around a value, which means something that I valued, that person is not valuing, and that becomes an irritation. Or the opposite, which is like, when I do something and the other person's reaction is very strong, then I also notice that, it seems to be a value of theirs. So one of the ways that we can pay attention to these values is finding out, whether which gives us joy, which is getting us irritated also, and seeing it in the other person. So sometimes, instead of understanding it like, okay, they don't agree with us, we can understand it like, okay, they value something different from what I value. And that itself will really, bring down the conflict, increase the understanding. And then, I saw kindness as one of the biggest words, and the kindness exists in the relationship. And I think one of the beauty words today is compassion and kindness. And this is one example of showing kindness. That even if the other person is irritated, I'll share one sentence my husband tells me. Even if we did wrong, can we go past that and move on? And I found that was kindness in action. That was compassion in action. But often we hold on to the wrong and butcher it and punch it and push it. But instead we leave that and then move on. That itself is a beautiful compassion in differences. Just thought I'd just share that, Abba, because that word was calling to me a lot.
எப்போ பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம் சொல்லு.
So, Abba, you can see this?
கடையிலேருந்து வந்த உடனே பண்ணலாம், முதலே பண்ணியிருக்கிறல்ல.
Are you mute, Abba?
Okay. All right. Am I audible now? Yes. Okay. Sorry. So while Uma is sharing the screen here, thank you so much for sharing your values with us. And it's very heartening to see that a lot of us share in similar values. Now that we know the values that we hold dear to our heart, also important for us to understand how these values play around in different aspects of our life. And that's exactly what we are going to do next. But before we do that, let's watch this video.
So as I switch on the video, I think again, see the whole video and then you can put it in the chat, right, Abba? This will be nicer this time. So see the whole video, internalize the whole video. And this time, just keep in mind everything that we have spoken so far. And look for the different characters. Look for what are the values that you see in it. And also this time, like Abba said, how does it work with others, other things. So I invite you to look at this video. Obviously, the video is too cute, you have a look at it. But other than that, look at the characters. Look at what is there in the context of the characters. And see if there are some collective values. Or see if there are some universal values. So see the individual values and universal values. See the whole thing. And then we'll invite you to put the recording in the chat. And then let's talk about it.
Yeah, and just before Uma plays the video, some of you may have already seen this video, and it's perfectly fine if you have. But what is important is that now when you see this video, look at it from the eyes or the lens of values, and look at this video from the context of values. And whatever learnings you have in that context, you can then put it on the chat window. Yes, Uma.
Abba, I got reminded of a 100 rupee note story. People say, for the first thing they say, oh, that's a bird, and you leave it. The first time we see the bird, we'll say, oh, there's a beak, there's a green, there's a blue. But then after we know it's a bird, like how we know the bird. Like that, and we do an exercise called 100 rupee note. We deal with the 100 rupee note so often, but if we had to draw the 100 rupee note today, we won't.
We have absolutely no idea.
In that lens, it's amazing what we pick up from the same video at different times in our life.
Yes, you can start recording your values on the chat screen now. Respect is honor, motherhood, compassion, equality, helping tendency, love everyone, mother's love, don't judge a book by its cover, humanity paves way, kind heart, perseverance, karma, nice, be loyal, kindness again, kindness boomerangs, helping hand, a lot of kindness and mother's love and helping tendency. Yes, Uma.
Awesome. One of the things from here is love is shared here. Okay? So I'll just take from that sentence and we'll go to what is it that we wanted to think about through this, right? So one is obviously the qualities that you see from the mother, the dog, from the master. You also will find that it's very beautiful how the dog made its decisions. So the first one was to obey the master. I have to protect the worms because then the birds will go away and we won't get our fish. So the first one was to protect and obey the master. But then after the dog saw the mother and wanted to know, okay, what happened? And then realized it was all of this that the mother was doing was basically for the little ones who need to survive. And that particular thing just shifted the dog and it chose to look at the need there. It chose to look at the higher, more, what is there in that context of that family of the mother and the children.
Okay.
If I can get
It's everyone is on mute. I'm not able to mute this person, Parthavi. Parthavi, could you please mute yourself? I'm not able to mute her.
So we may need to hold for silence. So, Kavi, can I please request it? Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I think so at that moment the dog made a shift between what the individual needs versus what the collective needs and did what was the higher thing there in the dog's mind, right? And that held a different consequence, and this held a different consequence. And then what the bird did in return. And so if you look at this, what's beautiful about this is what we would like to show you in this next slide, which is the different kinds of values that come in the way we live. So it's not like Uma lives in isolation. It's not like I can say that, this is my value and I will live by it and everything is my way or the highway, right? We can't do that. We are obviously living in a collective context, and if you look at all the values that you all talked about, there's a lot of the sensitivity to what's happening in the collective. And so if you look at that, values for us are at the individual level, which is what I value. Then you will find that there are some values at the family level. So as a family, we hold certain values. As an institute, JBS would hold certain values. So we as students, when we live our student life, is there some common values that we want to inculcate as an institute? And that's the beauty of what the institute offers for us. And then as a society, as a universal world, today if you look at the pandemic, it's calling for the greatest capacities of compassion, the greatest capacities of giving. If you look at all the inspiring stories of people helping in COVID times, it's like, what makes their heart truly go and do those things for people they don't even know. And we do, and time in memorial, history has always shown us that humanness and humanity, humankind, comes up and shows their highest in all of these things. It's because of what we call the universal values, the core values. So I think when you look at your own values, the beauty is to see all of these work. And I know Abha has some lovely stories to share on how these work between us as well. And so if you just pause for a second and see the same story, say in your own life, you'll find that some values are common across. So it's a universal value, it's also held in my family, it's also held in me. And sometimes you'll find that the value is something I hold, but may not be held by my family. And that sometimes is the problem because parents will not understand that often sometimes. And but still can we respect and can we live, but not give up, what is core for us also. But at the same time, sometimes for the sake of the family or for the sake of the institute, we may need to adopt what the family needs. So at the next 4 years as a student or 3 years as a student, there'll be so many instances where we have to ask ourselves, am I living the role of my student? Am I holding those values as my student, even if it's different from me? So that's another thing that we want you to think about this. And the third thing is this evolves over time. The dog showed it this way. But if you were in that situation, you may show a different story. So sometimes the value is the same, but the way we show the value changes. And the way we understand the value also changes. My understanding of the way I understood love changed over the years. The way I would love my friend during SID days versus now. There is so much of maturity. Like earlier, it's like, show it to me in A, B, C ways, then I know I'm loved. But now it's like, no, accept what the other person's way of showing it. And that's something my husband has really taught me. That, there are two ways to show love. And once we understand that, then we appreciate that. And so what stays in our mind is not the difference of the behavior, but what stays in our mind is the common value. So these are some things that I wanted to share, but I know Abba has some things to share, so on to you.
So before I take over from what Uma was just sharing, somebody had a question on the chat window asking what are universal values. So like Uma just said, universal values are values that we either learn from the world at large or values that we hold which can impact the world at large. So personal values, once again to emphasize, is values that we hold dear, that have an impact on us as an individual entity, something that I prescribe to, something that benefits me, something that I believe in. Social values, which is values of our friends, families, anybody that we love, anyone who's in our near and dear circle. These are values that I may not hold myself, but because people I love have it, I either start sharing in it, or even if I don't share it, I at least respect it. And I contribute to them also. Societal values are values beyond your inner circle, beyond your close circle. Like, for example, right now, as the student of this college, there will be certain values that you will be expected to demonstrate because that's the value that JDAS college holds. That's a value that as a college they expect their students to demonstrate, right? And we as a part of that entity, as a part of that society, will need to subscribe to, will need to imbibe, will need to start adhering to. And universal values are values even beyond our societal immediate context, which applies to the world at large, which applies to the globe. Like, for example, today, one of the current challenges that the entire world is facing, it's not just you and I, is the whole COVID-19 situation, where there are many people who are out of jobs, where there are many people who've lost their livelihoods, where people are dying for no reason at all, where people are not able to be with their loved ones. And it's very traumatic. It's not only putting financial pressure on people, but it's also putting a lot of emotional pressure on people. In fact, in my work with a lot of clients, one of the things that I'm hearing often is, my God, I love this man, but I've never lived with him for so long. So literally you're living with people 24/7 and you may love them, but you don't know how to live with them 24/7, right? There is absolutely no break from each other. And there are different kinds of challenges now. And if we have compassion as a value, then it translates and it carries across from my personal circle to the universal circle. So my personal value could influence my universal value. At the same time, my universal value could influence my personal values over time. For example, as a trainer, one of the values that my mentor instilled in me when I started training programs is, he said, I don't care even if you're dying or even if you're really sick, but even if you have to die, you come there on the stage in front of the podium and die. But if you have committed to a session, there is no way you will ever ask for a cancellation of the session. And I started living by that value. I have imbibed that value, and I'm very happy to say that in my 20 odd years as a trainer, there is not a single session that I have called or cancelled. And today, while earlier this value was something that I took from someone else in my inner circle, but today this value has become a part of my personal circle. It's become a part of who I am. So what Uma and I are trying to say is that there are values which will come to you naturally. And then there are values you will learn from outside of yourself as an entity. It doesn't matter what the source of the value is. What is important for us to do for our learning is to identify where we can use these values and ensure that our behaviors are in sync with the values that we hold dear. Okay? Is that clear now? Any questions on this piece, because this is very important for you to understand that you can impact others, others can impact you, and values can transform with time, values can change and transition with time. So I may have a value that is relevant for me today, it may not have been relevant for me 20 years down the line, right? So there is no right and wrong to it. It does not mean that once you have a value, you are married to that value for the rest of your life. It is our own intellect and wisdom in choosing and deciding in which part of life which value makes more sense. In which part of life what values will act as my guiding light, will act as my draw, will act as my inspiration. All right?
And I think Abha, also to your point, if I can add in, connecting to the video, and I also quickly look at the chat, there's only one thing, is this both same or different? I think if you look at the image of the concentric, and as Abha was mentioning, you will find that they will converge at some point. There was a beautiful comment that said, the two may be different, but the love shared was the same. Which means that both of them had different purposes. The mother had a different purpose, the dog had a purpose, but at that moment, the little bird's survival and health and food became the common love. So you'll find that there's a beauty to this, that even in differences, you can look for commonality. So that's how the convergence comes. So are both technically different? It could be. Like, for example, you yourself know your siblings, we may be of the same house, we may be of the same parenthood, but we may think differently. That's because our values are different. But when it comes to a family, and when it comes to our bonding, it's a common point. So you'll find these circles going in and out, and that's the beauty of this. So all we wanted to say, Sabha was saying was, don't take it like this is the strict letter and I will follow it like this. If that was the case, then the dog would never have helped the bird. But just look up and just say that what is the right conscience, and you will know within. And you will know the situation. If you don't know, you see in the situation will give you the clue. And so at every moment, at least there's something, and at least in every
just to add, Uma, because there are quite sorry to interrupt, but there are quite a few questions on is social and societal values similar. So societal values are values outside your inner circle. Social values are values of people who are close to you, which is your family, your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, and your friends, people that you love, people that you interact with on a regular basis. Societal values is the next step, is the next circle, which will include your college, your institute, people that you don't have a love bond with, but people who you interact with, your neighborhood, your neighbors, your larger community. So my family is my social circle, but my community that I belong to will become my societal circle. Okay, I hope that's clear.
Yes, I think she said.
Yes, Aman, go ahead. Yeah.
No, she said thanks for the response.
Okay.
Beautiful. So awesome. I mean, we just toggle the role. Okay, so when she speaks, I look at the chat, and when I speak, she looks at the chat, and we are in Bangalore, Chennai. So we